The galaxy had grown quiet, but it was not the calm of peace. It was the quiet of fear. Humanity had stretched its reach across dozens of star systems, building colonies on barren moons and lush planets alike. Ships flew between the stars carrying families, soldiers, and traders. But every colony lived under the same shadow, the shadow of the Krill. For decades, the Krill had been pushing humanity back, conquering world after world, leaving ruin and fire in their wake. The United Earth Navy, once the pride of human ingenuity, had been broken into fragments scattered across the void, struggling to defend what little remained. Above the world of Daedalus Prime, a planet already scarred by war, the remnants of humanity's fleet gathered. Only a handful of battered warships hovered in orbit, their hulls pockmarked with damage, their shields flickering weakly. The Krill fleet, sleek, alien, and countless, advanced slowly, a wave of death across the void. On every human bridge, the faces of soldiers and captains were pale, eyes wide with fear. Some prayed silently. Others simply gripped their stations, hoping sheer will could hold back the coming storm. Then, the impossible happened. Space itself seemed to ripple, like the surface of a pond disturbed by a stone. A shimmering distortion formed, a curtain of light bending and twisting against the black emptiness. And from that distortion, a ship emerged. Not like any human vessel. Not like any Krill design. This ship was vast, its black hull glowing faintly with silver lines shimmering like the night sky had been captured in metal. Its size alone dwarfed the largest human dreadnoughts, and even the Krill stopped in surprise, sensors unable to fully comprehend what they were seeing. Unidentified vessel. Decloaking, whispered the communications officer aboard the human flagship, her voice trembling. It's enormous. Silence fell over the human fleet. No one moved, no one spoke, as if they feared breaking the fragile moment. The Krill fleet, confident for so long, now hesitated. The unknown ship floated above Daedalus Prime like a dark guardian, calm yet unyielding, as though it had been waiting for this very moment. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Reyes clenched the edge of his command console. He had fought many battles in his life, faced losses that had broken lesser men, yet he could feel a strange heat in his chest. Not fear, not relief, but something he had almost forgotten. Hope. Could it be possible that this vessel was humanity's salvation, or was it another threat, testing them like the universe often did? The crew's eyes were fixed on the ship. Its sensors were beyond comprehension, its presence overwhelming. And then a quiet moment passed, and a voice filled every channel. It was not like a human voice. It resonated deep, calm, and commanding. This is the Ark of Sol. I have been hidden. I have waited. Humanity, I am here to protect you. Murmurs rippled through the fleet. The Ark of Sol? Stories and myths of such a ship had existed for generations, whispered in the corridors of history, dismissed as legend. Built in secret long ago, the stories said, to protect humanity in a time of ultimate need. Nobody had believed it was real. Yet here it was, larger and more powerful than anything humanity had ever built or could imagine. Its hull gleamed in the faint starlight, and energy fields flickered across its body, revealing weapons that seemed almost alive. It had arrived at the darkest hour, when humanity's survival hung by a thread. The Krill, sensing hesitation, began to advance. Their alien minds could not accept such defiance, such sudden and unexplained power. Weapons charged. Beams of green energy licked at the void. But the Ark did not move yet. It waited, as though calculating the exact moment to act. Humanity held its breath. For years they had been hunted, broken, and scattered. Yet here, in this frozen moment, something stirred deep inside every human heart. A spark, a memory of courage, of defiance. A reminder that humanity had survived worse than the Krill, that they could endure. And somewhere in the cold darkness of space, a silent promise waited to ignite. The battle for survival had begun, not just for planets or fleets, but for every human soul that refused to surrender. The Ark of Sol hovered silently above Daedalus Prime, massive and still, like a shadow in the stars. Its presence was overwhelming. The human fleet, though battered and broken, could sense it, like the heartbeat of a giant awakening after centuries of slumber. Sailors, soldiers, and commanders alike stared at the colossal ship, their breaths caught between awe and disbelief. The Krill fleet, confident and cruel, paused in hesitation. Their sleek alien vessels glimmered with deadly intent, yet none dared strike first against this unknown force. On the bridge of the human flagship, Admiral Reyes tried to steady his shaking hands. "Communications," he said in a low voice. "Open a wideband channel. I want to hear everything." The communications officer, wide-eyed and pale, nodded. "Sir, it's already transmitting." The voice, "It's everywhere. Not just on our channels. Everywhere in the fleet." Then the voice spoke again, calm, deep, and almost sad. "I am the Ark of Sol," it said. "I have waited in silence. I have remained hidden because humanity was not yet ready, but the time has come. I am here to protect your people." The crew exchanged stunned looks. Whispers echoed across the bridge. "Is this real?" one ensign asked. "I thought the Ark was a myth." Reyes's jaw tightened. "It is real," he said softly, almost to himself. "And it just appeared at the exact moment we needed it most." The Krill, however, did not understand hesitation. Their lead dreadnought fired a pulse of green energy, a warning shot meant to intimidate. The beam streaked across space, cutting a path of destruction. Humans instinctively braced for impact. The Ark did not flinch. Its massive hull shimmered with energy, shields flaring. Then with a single movement, a brilliant pulse of light erupted from its forward weapons bay. The beam struck the Krill dreadnought with terrifying precision. In seconds, the alien ship shattered into fragments, drifting silently into the void. The human crew gasped. Some cheered. Some stared, frozen in disbelief. Hope, fragile and sudden, bloomed in their hearts. Humanity had seen the impossible. They had seen a force that could fight the Krill and survive. Admiral Reyes leaned forward over his console, eyes narrowing. "Ark of Sol, if you are here to protect us, then help us now. Tell us, what are your capabilities?" A pause followed, filled only by the faint hum of the Ark's power. Then the voice answered, almost mournfully, "I was built at the dawn of the Krill threat before your ancestors feared them. I am more than a ship. I carry the minds and memories of those who built me, those who fought and fell for humanity long before you were born. I was hidden until the hour when your survival truly depended on me. I can destroy fleets, block star systems, and shield entire colonies. But I am not eternal. I am not invincible. I am here to give humanity time, to remind you of the courage you have forgotten." The crew of the flagship listened in silence. Awe and fear mingled in their hearts. This was not a machine. This was a guardian, a legacy, a memory of all that humanity had once been, now brought to life to fight for the future. Admiral Reyes straightened in his chair. "Then we will not fail," he said, his voice carrying through the command deck. "We will stand with the Ark. We will show the Krill that humanity does not cower. Humanity fights." The Ark pulsed once, as if acknowledging his words. Its enormous hull seemed to glow brighter, energy streaming along its surface. The Krill fleet, confused and wary, began to adjust their formations. But the humans, inspired by the presence of the Ark, felt something they had not felt in decades: confidence. They were no longer just survivors. They were warriors again, standing behind a force that was more than a weapon. "Prepare for battle," Reyes commanded. "This is our chance. We will fight for every colony, every life, every soul that belongs to humanity, and we will not fail." Above them, the Ark waited, patient, calm, and unstoppable. The shadow of fear in the galaxy had been met with light. Humanity's last hope had arrived. And now, for the first time in years, the human fleet felt ready to fight. Not just to survive, but to win. The Krill fleet surged forward, their sleek warships glinting like shards of green glass against the black of space. Their commanders had never faced anything like the Ark of Sol. It was massive, powerful, and unyielding, a force they could not understand. Yet the Krill were relentless. They had conquered countless systems and crushed every resistance. They believed humanity would be no different. The human fleet braced for the onslaught. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the Ark, which floated calmly at the edge of the formation. Though humanity's ships were damaged and outnumbered, the presence of the Ark inspired courage. There was no fear now, only determination. "All hands," Reyes ordered, his voice strong. "We fight not for survival alone. We fight for every human who dares to live. Protect your brothers and sisters. Fire only when necessary, but fight with everything you have." The first Krill frigates charged. They were fast, armed with pulse cannons and missiles, designed to overwhelm and destroy. The Ark moved, a dark giant shifting through the stars with a grace that seemed impossible for its size. Energy beams erupted from its hull, slicing through the enemy ships as if they were nothing more than paper. Explosions lit the void in bursts of blue and white fire. The human fleet followed. Destroyers fired torpedoes with renewed precision. Fighters swarmed in tight formations, weaving between alien laser fire. Even the damaged transports joined in, their defensive turrets flaring to life. For the first time in years, humanity did not flee. Humanity fought. A Krill dreadnought opened fire on the Ark, its cannons glowing bright green. The beam struck, and for a moment the Ark shuddered. Then it responded. Massive energy shields flared, absorbing the strike, and its own weapons erupted. A volley of pulsating beams tore through the dreadnought's hull, ripping it apart from the inside. Fragments of alien metal and fire floated silently in space as the Ark glided past. On the flagship, the crew watched in awe. "It's unstoppable," whispered one of the officers. Like it's alive." Reyes's jaw tightened. "It's not alive in the way we understand. But it is our shield, and it will fight as long as we have courage to stand beside it." As the battle intensified, human ships began coordinating better than ever before. The Ark's presence was a beacon, a signal that humanity could still fight. Destroyers flanked cruisers, carriers launched every remaining fighter, and smaller ships darted between the enemy lines, distracting the Krill long enough for heavier weapons to strike. The Krill grew frustrated. Their precision attacks, their numbers, their centuries of experience, nothing could break the Ark. Every ship that fell to its weapons left the enemy fleet in chaos. The humans, who had been broken, battered, and beaten, were now fighting in harmony, inspired by the Guardian that had appeared at the last possible moment. Still, Admiral Reyes knew the battle was far from won. The Ark could not hold forever, and the Krill were cunning. They would adapt, attack in new ways, and try to exploit every weakness. But for now, humanity had found something they thought was lost: hope. The Ark's voice echoed once more through every channel, calm and commanding. "Stand with me. Humanity is not yet broken. Fight and show your enemies that you are more than what they believe." Reyes stood taller. "We will show them," he said, determination burning in his chest. "We are humanity. We do not surrender. And today, the Krill will learn that they cannot crush us so easily." The first full clash had begun, and for the first time in decades, humanity felt the exhilaration of battle, not as victims, but as warriors. The Ark of Sol was no longer just a myth. It was a promise, one that humanity was ready to fight beside. The battle raged across the void, but for a moment, the human fleet found a strange rhythm alongside the Ark of Sol. Ships that had once been battered and broken now moved with renewed purpose, their crews inspired by the presence of the massive Guardian. Explosions lit the darkness, fire and energy streaming across the black canvas of space, yet hope flared stronger than ever in human hearts. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Reyes studied the Ark with a mixture of awe and curiosity. He had commanded fleets, faced alien empires, and watched entire worlds fall, but nothing could prepare him for this moment. The Ark was more than a weapon. It was history, memory, and promise all in one. Yet its silence between strikes hinted at something deeper, something human minds could barely grasp. "Ark of Sol," Reyes commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Tell us, why did you wait? Why appear only now, when humanity was on the brink of destruction?" A soft hum filled the fleet. Vibrations felt more than heard. Then the voice came, calm, sorrowful, and resolute. "I was built at the dawn of the Krill threat," the Ark said. "Long before your ancestors feared what is coming, they forged me in secrecy. I carry within me the minds, memories, and knowledge of those who fought and died for humanity. They gave everything so that one day humanity might endure. I was hidden because your people were not ready to see the truth of what I am. I was waiting for the moment when survival hung by the thinnest of threads." The bridge fell silent. Crew members stared at their consoles, some trembling, some blinking rapidly, trying to comprehend. A machine that spoke with human memory, a guardian that carried the souls of the past. These were things that should have existed only in legend. Yet here it floated, massive and real, a protector born from humanity's courage and sacrifice. "Then, you are not just a weapon," murmured one young officer. You are their legacy." "Yes," the Ark responded almost softly. "I am the memory of your ancestors. I am their will, their hope, their defiance against extinction. But I cannot fight forever. I can shield humanity, destroy fleets, and scatter worlds, but only for a time. You must rise alongside me. You must remember courage, strategy, and unity. Only then will you survive without me." Reyes felt the weight of those words press on him. The Ark had been waiting for humanity to truly need it. Yet even its power was not infinite. He looked at his fleet, at the tired faces, the damaged ships, the people who had already lost so much, and he understood. This was a test. Humanity was being given the chance to stand, not just behind a guardian, but as warriors in their own right. "Then we will not fail," Reyes said, determination ringing in his voice. "Humanity will fight. We will take this chance and rise, not because we have a protector, but because we refuse to surrender." The Ark pulsed, a wave of energy that rippled across space and seemed to answer his words. For a brief moment, the stars themselves seemed to brighten, as if witnessing humanity reclaiming its courage. The Krill, meanwhile, regrouped and adjusted their assault, unaware of the depth of what they faced. The Ark was powerful, yes, but the humans were more than they appeared. Encouraged by the Guardian, the fleet coordinated attacks, covered one another, and moved with a precision born of desperation and determination. They were no longer simply survivors, they were fighters, reclaiming their place in the galaxy. "Remember this," the Ark said, voice calm but commanding. "The battle is not only for ships or colonies. It is for the spirit of humanity. Protect it, nurture it, and you will endure. Fail, and everything your ancestors built will be lost." Reyes nodded, fists clenched. "We will endure, and we will fight for every life, every soul that belongs to humanity. The Ark gave us this chance. Now we take it." Above them, the massive ship glided silently, a dark sentinel of hope. In its presence, humanity remembered who they were. And for the first time in decades, they believed that the Krill might finally face a true fight. The Krill fleet roared across the void, green beams slicing through the blackness, missiles streaking like deadly comets. Humanity's fleet, though inspired by the Ark of Sol, remained outnumbered. Each human ship fought as if every second counted, because it did. The lives of billions depended on the courage of these weary crews. And for the first time in decades, humanity was not merely running from extinction. They were standing tall, side by side with a force that had once existed only in legend. The Ark moved like a living giant. Its massive hull shifted with precision, energy shields flaring as alien beams struck it. Every strike that hit it seemed to tremble the very space around it. Yet it never faltered. Its weapons pulsed and fired, tearing through Krill frigates and cruisers alike. A single energy lance swept through a formation of enemy ships, scattering them into shards. Human eyes widened at the impossible sight, and hearts lifted with hope that had long been dormant. Admiral Reyes gritted his teeth, commanding every ship to fight with coordination they had never achieved before. "All units," he barked, voice carrying over the fleet's channels, "cover one another. Focus fire! Every ship counts, every life counts. Humanity stands today not behind legends but beside them." Human destroyers darted between enemy lines, launching torpedoes and fighter wings while cruisers laid suppressing fire to protect smaller vessels. Even battered transports joined the fray, firing point defense lasers to protect fleeing civilians and supply ships. It was chaos, yes, but it was controlled chaos, a dance of determination and courage. The Krill unleashed wave after wave of attacks. Their numbers were overwhelming, their strategy ruthless. They had faced civilizations that fell in hours, colonies that surrendered in days. Yet here, humanity resisted. They coordinated, adapted, and struck with cunning. Every human ship that survived became a thorn in the Krill fleet. Every successful maneuver a spark of defiance. The Ark's voice echoed through the human channels, steady and commanding. "You are rising, humanity. Fight with your courage, with your minds, and with your hearts. I can shield you, I can destroy your enemies, but your survival will come only when you believe in yourselves." Reyes felt a surge of pride and determination. "We will not just survive," he said aloud, more to himself than to anyone else. "We will fight, and we will make the Krill remember what humanity is." A Krill dreadnought surged forward, its massive cannons glowing with deadly green energy, aiming straight for the human flagship. The Ark reacted instantly. A beam of pure energy shot from its hull, striking the dreadnought mid-flight. The alien ship shattered in brilliant shards, scattering across the battlefield. Yet the Ark trembled slightly from the force, a reminder that even legends can feel the strain of battle. The human fleet pressed the attack, seizing the opportunity. Smaller squadrons cut off Krill reinforcements, while mid-sized ships concentrated fire on weakened enemy vessels. Every strike was precise, every movement deliberate. For the first time, humans were not just reacting, they were controlling the flow of battle. And then a strange silence fell for a heartbeat. From every ship, every crew member, a single realization spread. They could win this. They had the Ark, yes, but more importantly, they had each other. Humanity's survival was no longer a distant hope. It was a choice they made together, a stand taken with courage and unity. The Krill, sensing their advantage slipping, regrouped and hesitated. The tide had turned just slightly, but enough for humans to breathe, to strike, and to hold the line. For the first time in the war, the enemy feared humanity. Admiral Reyes gripped the edge of his command chair, his eyes burning with determination. "Hold your positions. Do not let them break you. Today we are not survivors. Today we are humanity, and we will not bow." Above the fleet, the Ark pulsed once, a silent acknowledgement of their courage. Together, human and Ark, they were not just fighting. They were reclaiming their place in the galaxy. The battle was far from over, but the first sparks of victory had begun to shine. The Krill were relentless. Despite the Ark of Sol's power and the human fleet's newfound courage, the alien armada pressed forward. Waves of enemy ships surged, their green beams lashing across space like venom, their missiles streaking toward human vessels with deadly precision. Humanity's fleet fought valiantly, but exhaustion and damage were evident on every ship. Even the Ark, towering and invincible to the human eye, showed signs of strain. Its shields flared unevenly, and cracks of energy ran like lightning across its massive hull. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Reyes gritted his teeth, watching explosions ripple across space. "Hold your positions. Do not falter." His voice was strong, yet the weight of desperation pressed down on him. He knew that every second counted and that the Krill would not relent until every human soul was crushed, or until something extraordinary intervened. Then the Ark spoke, its voice calm yet urgent. "Admiral, there is one weapon left, one that can end this battle. But it comes at a cost. It is the Sol Lance. Its power can annihilate the Krill fleet, but I may not survive its use." Reyes's heart clenched. "Whatever it takes, use it. Humanity depends on you." A low hum filled the void. The Ark shifted its massive frame, revealing a colossal cannon beneath its hull. Energy crackled along its length, brighter and hotter than a star. The human fleet watched in stunned awe as the weapon charged, feeling both hope and fear. The Sol Lance was not just a weapon, it was a promise, a final chance to save all that remained of humanity. The Krill, sensing the Ark's preparation, intensified their attack. Their dreadnoughts and cruisers aimed directly at the massive ship, firing everything they had. Energy beams struck, and the Ark's shields flared, bending and absorbing the impact. The sheer force of the assault made the human fleet tremble. If the Ark fell, humanity would fall with it. Then, with a silent determination that seemed almost human, the Ark fired the Sol Lance. A beam of pure concentrated energy erupted from its hull, stretching across space like a sword of light. Every Krill ship in its path shattered instantly, turning into fragments of fire and metal. The alien fleet screamed in confusion and horror. Their formations shattered beyond repair. But the weapon's force was too great even for the Ark. Energy surged uncontrollably, spreading across its massive frame. Cracks widened, shields flickered and failed, and the ship trembled as if in pain. "I was built to protect," the Ark said, voice steady despite the strain. "But the Guardian is not eternal. Humanity must endure." Admiral Reyes shouted into the channel, his voice breaking with urgency. "Everyone, retreat if you must. Live, survive. Humanity fights on." The Ark glided toward the largest Krill dreadnought, using its final momentum to collide with the enemy. The impact was catastrophic. A blinding explosion lit the void, visible across the human fleet. Fragments of the Ark and the dreadnought scattered, floating silently in space. For a moment, the humans feared all was lost. The Guardian was gone. Then the silence was filled with a new feeling. Awe. Humanity had survived. The remaining Krill ships, leaderless and shattered, began to retreat, fleeing from a fight they could no longer control. Victory had come at a terrible cost, yet the hope the Ark had ignited remained alive. On the bridge, Reyes sank into his chair, exhausted, his hands shaking. It did it," he whispered. "It saved us." The crew around him nodded, some with tears, some with disbelief. The Ark was gone, but its presence lingered, a silent testament to courage, sacrifice, and unwavering loyalty. Humanity had witnessed the impossible, fought beside it, and survived. Reyes looked at the stars, at the wreckage of both human and krill ships, and felt a fire ignite within him. Humanity had been given a chance, a spark of hope to rebuild, to fight, and to endure, and they would honor the Ark's sacrifice, not just with survival, but with the courage to reclaim their place in the galaxy. The voice of the Ark faded, echoing softly in memory and in spirit. I was the Ark of Sol. I was built to protect. But humanity, you were built to endure. And in the hearts of every human who survived, those words became a promise. Humanity would endure. Humanity would rise. Humanity would fight. Silence settled across Daedalus Prime's orbit. The void, once filled with the roar of battle, now drifted in quiet. Human ships floated among the wreckage of both krill and their own fleet, battered but alive. The Ark of Sol was gone. Its massive black hull, once a beacon of hope, had been reduced to fragments drifting like shadows across the stars. Yet despite its absence, the humans felt something stronger than fear. Hope. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the remnants of the battlefield. His hands trembled slightly, not from fatigue alone, but from the weight of understanding. Humanity had survived a war that seemed impossible. They had fought beside a force that was more than a weapon. They had stood together and they had won. This is unbelievable, whispered a young officer beside him, tears welling in her eyes. The Ark. It saved us, Reyes nodded solemnly. Yes, he said quietly. But it didn't just save us. It reminded us who we are. Humanity survives not because of machines or myths, but because of courage, determination, and unity. That is our weapon. That is our legacy. Across the fleet, human ships began to regroup, sending messages to distant colonies. News of the Ark's arrival, the fierce battle, and the humanity that refused to bow spread like wildfire. On worlds far from the battlefield, people paused their daily lives to hear the story, to feel a spark they had almost forgotten. Miners, farmers, scientists, and soldiers all shared the same reaction: disbelief, awe, and hope. Humanity had faced annihilation and survived. Reyes addressed his fleet. The Ark may be gone, he said, voice steady, carrying across the comm channels. But its mission is not over. We carry its courage in our hearts. Every one of us on every ship in every colony must fight to remember that we do not bow. Humanity endures, humanity rises, and humanity will never forget what it means to survive. For the first time in years, there was laughter among the human crews, soft, cautious, but real. Tears mingled with smiles as soldiers who had faced impossible odds began to believe again. They were alive, and more importantly, they were not broken. On the horizon of space, the krill had retreated, their fleet scattered, leaderless, humiliated, and fearful. Rumors would spread that humanity had allies far beyond their understanding. The Ark had struck a blow that went beyond physical destruction. It had rekindled the fire of defiance. Humanity's enemies would remember that the people of Earth did not yield easily. Yet even as victory settled, Reyes knew the war was not over. Other threats waited in the galaxy, more cunning, more cruel. But the memory of the Ark, its sacrifice, and the courage it inspired gave humanity a gift no weapon ever could: belief in themselves. He walked to the observation deck, staring out at the stars. Among the wreckage, he imagined the Ark drifting silently, its voice echoing in memory. I was the Ark of Sol. I was built to protect. But humanity, you were built to endure. And endure they would. Humanity would rebuild stronger and wiser. They would train, adapt, and expand, taking the lessons of this battle into every corner of the galaxy. They had seen the impossible. They had fought beside legends. And they had survived. The humans of Daedalus Prime and the scattered fleets would tell stories for generations, of a colossal ship that appeared in their darkest hour, of courage rekindled and of hope that refused to die. They would remember that sometimes survival is not only about strength or weapons, but about unity, bravery, and the will to rise again. In every heart, a quiet promise echoed: humanity fights. Humanity endures. Humanity will rise no matter the odds. And somewhere among the stars, the spirit of the Ark of Sol lingered, silent but proud, watching over a species that had finally remembered its own strength. The galaxy had seen it, Humanity was not just survivors. Humanity was unstoppable,